Hello, comparative religions, and welcome to the second of two lessons on the Roman religion. Okay, now we know that Rome is polytheistic. In our last lesson, we talked about the fact that around 800 BCE, the Latins, who are the descendants of Rome, come into the Italian peninsula, and they're going to share the Italian peninsula with the Etruscans and the Greeks, and they're going to borrow heavily from those two civilizations, including this idea of polytheism. We talked a little bit about the history of Rome, the idea that it's the city of seven hills. You had all these scattered villages on seven hills on the Italian peninsula that merge into one city, the city of Rome. We talked about the divine origins of the Roman people, that they have connections to Romulus and Remus, who were twin sons of a Latin woman and the god Mars. We talked about the development of things like arches and other engineering techniques in the Roman Empire. We talked about the fact that Rome is full of temples to the different gods and goddesses, that the gods and goddesses are going to play an almost daily role in the life of the Romans, and there are going to be a variety of religious activities inside and outside the temple. And we even looked at the different gods and goddesses of Rome. In fact, where I want to begin today, I accidentally cut off the last lesson. I want you to get down the god Apollo, okay? And the reason I want you to get down the god Apollo is because Apollo is in Greece as well. And notice Apollo is the god of music, art, and poetry, okay? Medicine, the plague, sunlight, and knowledge. The same things that Apollo was the god of in Greece. Also, notice the presence of oracles. We talked about the oracles at Delphi in Greece. There are oracles in Rome too, not just to Apollo, but to the other gods and goddesses. And these oracles are responsible for divining what the gods and goddesses want the people of Rome to do. Okay. Now, I also have Luna there. Luna is the female counterpart to the sun. So, if Apollo is the god of the sun, Luna is the god of the moon. All right. And I mentioned Luna because that's where we get the term lunar, okay, referring to the moon. All right. So, Luna is the divine embodiment of the moon. She's the female counterpart to Apollo, who's the god of the sun. Okay. Now, where we're headed today is we're going to talk about the heroes of Roman religion, okay, or Roman mythology. We're just going to mention two, all right? And then we're going to talk about the expansion of religion in Rome and the introduction of monotheism. Okay. Again, as you listen to this presentation, be sure that you get down the notes. For example, you definitely need to get down Apollo there. Be sure you copy down your own notes. I will try to give you a heads up as to what I want you to copy down. And then, as I mentioned before, be sure you review this material, the material on Greece, the material on Egypt, even a little bit on Mesopotamia. I put a quiz review on Canvas. Be sure that you use the information in these PowerPoints to answer those questions on that quiz review, because at the end of the week, we're getting ready for our third quiz, which is all about the polytheistic societies. Okay, so be sure you use this information to help prepare you for that quiz. Now, as we've been talking about, the gods play a daily role in in the lives of the people of Rome. We talked about the presence of their temples throughout the city. There are multiple temples to multiple gods and goddesses. The belief that these gods and goddesses bestow their favor on the city states and on the empire itself. What should come as no surprise that just like in Greece, the gods and goddesses interact with humans, and oftentimes, the offspring of that interaction are the heroes of the Roman Empire. And I'm going to mention two, and I want you to get them down here. One is Aeneas. Okay, Aeneas is the son of Prince Anchises. Okay, and I'm sure I'm butchering that name. And the goddess Venus. Okay, and remember, Venus is the goddess of love and beauty and things like that. Aeneas is the ancestor of Romulus and Remus. Okay, so this is where the divine connection comes in for the Roman people. He is the first true Roman hero, and he is present in Virgil's Aeneid. And the Aeneid is much like Homer's Iliad. Okay, it is giving kind of a history of the empire. It's talking about all these famous exploits of Aeneas and how Aeneas battles and shows great courage and great strength and helps found the Roman Empire. This ancestor of Romulus and Remus, how he helps found and protect the Roman Empire. Okay. The other big hero that we have is Hercules, and we talked about this in the Greek presentations as well. Hercules is the son of Jupiter. Okay, remember in Greece he was the son of Zeus. And Alcmene, right? He is known for his strength and his famous adventures, the same thing we saw in Greece. In fact, he is sent out on 12 labors, okay, 12 quests, all right? So we see a lot of similarities between Hercules here in Rome and Hercules in Greece as well. Just like we talked about with Greece, these are humans. They have divine interaction with the gods. They are the offspring of the gods, but they show great strength. They show great courage. Their stories often involve the triumph of good over evil. And kind of like we talked about in Greece, because they show strength and courage and good versus evil and good overcoming evil, their stories are often used to teach a lesson and to teach morality. So, in some respects, they are like parables that we're going to find in monotheistic religions later on, trying to teach us a lesson and trying to teach us a positive lesson. Okay. And it all points back to the glory of the empire, to the glory of Rome. All right. That's what Hercules and Aeneas are doing. They glorify themselves, but they also glorify Rome in the process. Now, switching gears, okay. Rome, over time, Roman religion expands, and I want you to get this down. The traditional gods remain important. Okay, let's not forget, and the first lesson we talked about, the polytheistic nature of Rome creates a sense of community. Just like we saw in Greece, different city states, different cities themselves, okay, have individual gods and goddesses, and you have these daily worship activities to those gods and goddesses, and that's going to create a sense of community. So the traditional gods and goddesses are going to remain important. But over time, people begin to turn out elsewhere for spiritual fulfillment. Okay? We'll still give lip service to the polytheistic nature of Rome, but we're looking for something else. Now, some people are going to turn to the mystery religions. And we call these mystery religions because they're mysterious. We have evidence they exist, but we don't know exactly what they practiced or what they believed in because their rituals are kept secret. If you belong to one of these cults, you receive special rewards. But again, a lot of the processes are kept secret for members only. One of those cults is the cult of Isis, okay? And Isis goes all the way back to Egypt. Then you have the cult of Mithras. Now, what's interesting about the cult of Mithras is we begin to see a desire of good over evil, okay, or a want of good over evil. Now, I'll be honest with you, that's kind of always there. But not only is there this desire for good over evil, but it's also tied to a belief in life after death. And that's going to be significant because, like we talked about with Greece, a lot of the focus is on your earthly existence, not what happens to you after death, okay? The next life is kind of seen as wretched. All right, you got the underworld, it's not pretty. So the fact that we begin to see a concern about life after death is interesting and unusual. Now, despite the fact that the polytheistic nature of Rome has created a sense of community, Rome in some respects is generally tolerant toward other religions. But you have to stay loyal and you have to stay loyal to the empire, and you have to acknowledge the divinity of the emperor. Okay? Now, when monotheism shows up, I told you yesterday, or in the first lesson, when monotheism shows up, it provides it's a little bit of a problem. It behooves the Roman Empire, as the Roman Empire expands and it controls all this land, it controls all these people. You want those people to stay loyal. It behooves the Roman Empire to allow monotheism to exist and allow the believers in monotheism to practice their religion. At the same time, as monotheism develops, specifically different sects of monotheism, their devotion is going to be to God. And they're not going to see the emperor as divine, and they're not going to swear allegiance to the empire. Their allegiance is going to be to God. So monotheism is going to be, in some respects, difficult for the Romans to accept. All right. And again, it's a very, very complex, often complicated part of Roman society. It begins with Judaism. All right. And I want you to get down this slide. In 63 BC, Rome conquered Judea. The Jews are interesting in that they were excused from worshiping other gods. As long as they swore loyalty to the emperor and loyalty to the empire, they could worship God in peace. Now, this is going to lead to a division among the Jewish people. On the one hand, you have Jews that could accept this and say, again, we're just going to give lip service to the loyalty to the empire and loyalty to the emperor and stuff like that. We'll say what the Romans want us to say to make them happy, but we're not necessarily going to believe that. Or, okay, this is good. We can handle this. We still want to worship God, and we want to do it without persecution. So we can say we'll be loyal to the emperor and loyal to the empire. On the other hand, you have a group called the Zealots. And the Zealots don't want anything to do with Rome whatsoever. In fact, they see Rome as polluting traditional Judaism. Okay? And they become hostile to the Jews that are willing to compromise. All right? And the big thing is, how dare you do this? God is God. We need to worship him. We're not even going to give lip service to the Roman Empire because that's not right. And the Zealots are often implicated in rebellion against the Roman Empire. Okay, even in Jesus's time, it says in 66 AD rebellion begins, but even in Jesus's time, there were zealots rebelling against the Roman Empire. So in the 30 ADs, okay, the big rebellion is going to come in 66. It will be crushed in 4 years, and Rome is going to destroy the temple and level Jerusalem to the ground, okay, as punishment for this rebellion. So these zealots are going to lead armed insurrections against the Roman Empire for a number of years, okay? Judaism survives even under these circumstances. Even after the temple is destroyed and Jerusalem is leveled, Judaism survives because of the rabbis. Okay? The rabbis are the Jewish teachers. They help preserve the faith in the scattered communities of the Jews around Italy and around Europe. Okay? We see this mentioned in the Old Testament. Okay? The priests and the rabbis will keep Judaism going even when Jerusalem is destroyed. Jerusalem gets destroyed a bunch of times. The temple gets destroyed a bunch of times by different empires that are coming through. Usually what happens is the Jews fail to follow God. God sends in an outside force, wipes everybody out, okay? But the religion is preserved thanks to the rabbis and the priests that keep it going in these scattered communities, okay? We're going to see the same thing happen when Rome takes over from 63 BC to 66 AD and then beyond. Judaism is followed by Christianity. Okay, and like I said, here's more of the complexity, and I want you to get down to the next two slides. Okay, the tolerance that was extended to the Jews is not extended to Christians. They were seen as disloyal, and they did not favor the emperor, which is interesting because Jews and Christians are worshiping the same God. Okay, Jesus was a Jew. All right, so it's interesting that the same tolerance that was extended to Jews is not extended to Christians. All right, but I think Christians are a little bit more vocal in our kingdom is not here on earth, our kingdom is not in Rome, our kingdom is in heaven. Okay, the emperor is not divine. We're not going to swear loyalty to the emperor. Our loyalty is to God and Jesus. Okay, through the Holy Spirit. I think they're a little bit more vocal. That might help explain why the same level of tolerance is not extended to them. In fact, in times of trouble, Christians are often persecuted. They become the scapegoats. Nero, the Emperor Nero, is a good example of this. Okay, Rome is destroyed in Nero's time. In fact, Nero supposedly fiddled while Rome burned to the ground. Okay, now historians think that Nero might have had something to do with burning Rome to the ground because he wanted to rebuild it in his image. But he's going to blame the Christians for starting all the trouble. Okay, and this is going to unleash a wave of persecution against Christians. The gladiatorial games, they're going to be rounded up, they're going to be killed, they're going to be put in the Colosseum to do battle with lions and do battle with gladiators and things like that. That persecution will continue until AD 313. There are two big emperors that are going to change things for the Christians. One is the Emperor Constantine. Constantine will issue the Edict of Milan. Now, a lot of people think Constantine makes Christianity the official religion of the Roman Empire. He does not. He is a Christian. In fact, he has a conversion. Constantine is getting ready to go to war. He has this dream, and the dream Christ comes. Christ is carrying a cross. Christ says, you will be victorious the next day. Constantine wakes up. He has a cross made. He sends the cross ahead of him in battle, and he wins. Okay, and he converts to Christianity. But he does not make Christianity the official religion of the Roman Empire. He does, however, issue the Edict of Milan, which grants freedom of worship to Christians. And that's a big step, okay? That's going to help end that persecution and allow them to practice their religion freely. The guy that makes Christianity the official religion of the Roman Empire is Theodosius. Okay? In fact, Theodosius is, and those that come after him, Theodosius is going to go the opposite way. He is going to begin to repress the practice of other faiths. And once Christianity becomes the official religion of the Roman Empire, the power of the church is going to begin to grow. In fact, the power of the church is going to grow alongside the power of the empire. And church and state are going to become one. And it should come as no surprise that not only does Rome become the capital of the Roman Empire, but within Rome is the Vatican City. And the Vatican City is going to become the headquarters of the Catholic Church, which is representative of this growing power within Christianity and this growing bureaucracy within Christianity. Okay, and they're growing alongside each other. We will pick up more with Christianity when we get to monotheism. We actually talk about Christianity. We'll talk more about its history and go into a little bit more detail. That is just a rough introduction to both Judaism and Christianity, how they interact with the Roman Empire. Again, we're talking about the Roman heroes. We start off talking about the Roman heroes and the interaction between the heroes and the gods and goddesses. We wrapped up our discussion of the gods and goddesses as well. Be sure you review this material, use this material and the material from the previous lesson to begin answering those questions on that quiz review and preparing for your quiz on all these polytheistic societies at the end of the week.